Welcome back to the Motion Picks. In honor of next week's release of Finding Dory, on today's My Magnificent 7, we'll be talking Pixar. But since it's going to take me way too much time to go through all the feature-length films, today's episode is going to list the shorts. These cinematic entrees have been a long-standing tradition ever since 1998's A Bug's Life. And as with their feature-length counterparts, some are better than others. The best of these managed to effectively compress the essence of Pixar into no less than 5 minutes, and those are the ones we're going to be talking about today. So without further ado, here are my top 7 Pixar theatrical shorts. Starting at the beginning, my number 7 pick is Jerry's Game. This is the one about the old man playing chess with himself. Given that it's one of Pixar's earlier efforts, it's not exactly in the same realm as today's photorealistic animation. But the impressive rendering of a human character still holds up by today's standards. Not because of its realism, but because of its effective design and fluid motion. The overall story is a really well executed, simple idea. It's just about an old man playing a game of chess against himself. But when the film starts to play around with the idea of separate perspectives, that's when it starts to hook you. My favourite moment in the film is when the first piece of the game is taken. It's very subtle, but you can actually hear crows calling out in the background just as the piece is being killed. And then for the first time, that same audio continues into the next shot, showing the reaction of the other player. It's actually quite clever the way that it's done. But as the game gets more intense, it starts to raise questions about this character. Is he actually aware that he's playing against himself? Is everyone else just too busy to play with him?
Or has he actually gone mad?
Hey, don't be a hypocrite.
Shush you.
Day and Night. This one's an artistically ambitious combination of 2D animation and 3D CGI. Night and Day are personified as mutually prejudiced humanoids. Yet after discovering more about each other, they come to realise the error of their judgment. The unusual concept of integrating 3D sceneries into cartoon characters works surprisingly well, as these characters' movements and reactions are closely mimicked by the 3D world which they represent. Presto! Presto is a period piece about a magician performing on stage and his bunny rabbit. Visually, it's a seamless blend of cartoon character animation and photorealistic environments. The comedy is inventive without relying too heavily on slapstick, constantly playing with the dramatic irony of what we as an audience know, as opposed to what the diegetic audience, the audience within the world of the film, are able to perceive. It gets surprisingly dark at one point, with the narrative escalating to almost certain doom, which is fortunately resolved with a neat and magical twist. OneMan Band. This short film is an impressive mini showcase of one of my favourite film composers, Michael Giacchino. Pitting a one-man brass band against a one-man string ensemble, it's probably the most imaginative representation of busking I've ever seen on film. The constant one-upmanship here is a clever way of escalating conflict without resorting to dialogue or violence. Whilst the intricate contraptions used by the buskers are far-fetched and suited to animation, the animators didn't just slack off in terms of paying close attention to how these instruments would be played in real life. Given that I have a lot of experience with real-life busking, a lot of the aspects of this film did ring true for me. Especially the smart observation that the younger musicians who have the cute factor tend to get more money. La Luna. La Luna, which is Spanish for the moon, is a very cute and wonderfully animated surreal dream about generational differences and sweeping stars on the moon. Aside from the stellar animation, the music by Pixar regular Michael Giacchino is certainly a highlight. The lush instrumental score featuring Spanish-inspired classical guitar adds an extra sense of wonderment to the magical proceedings. The design is surprisingly minimalist for this latter stage in Pixar's short film history, but I would consider this a strength. Lack of visual clutter helps create an ethereal feel and emphasises the film's sense of childlike innocence. The Blue Umbrella. Let's just pretend that's blue. Continuing Pixar's tradition of imbuing the inanimate with life, a blue umbrella falls in love with a red umbrella in this music-driven short. This one's probably the most photorealistic that Pixar has ever been. I mean, the attention to detail is astounding. When I started watching it for the first time, I actually thought it was a live-action short. But that's not the only reason why it's so great. Strong emotions are evoked with only the slightest of movements. With absolutely zero dialogue, it's amazing how they can convey this huge range of emotions with just visual elements and sound design. It has a noteworthy opening in which windows, gutters and mailboxes all come alive with the slowly growing rain. The musical score mimics the water drops with onomatopoeia-like percussion and staccato melody. This eventually evolves into a main musical theme, which is a wordless song sung by female vocals. It's a really strong and beautiful opening that sets the perfect tone for the rest of the film. Now for my number one pick, I have chosen a film that has definitely survived the test of time. It's one of the few shorts that people actually used as a recommendation for the feature film itself. And seeing as that film is the brilliant Monsters, Inc., that is high praise indeed. Of course, I'm talking of none other than 2000's For the Birds. In For the Birds, a telephone wire becomes a bitchy schoolyard clique as a group of little identical superficial bluebirds make fun of a larger, more awkward bird based on his differences. It's pitch-perfect storytelling as we're guided through this humorous commentary on prejudice by nothing but camera angles, distinct character movements, and a succession of squeaks and honks. It's a rather sophisticated short film which I managed to use as a text for my English essays in Year 12 at school. And it's also a really fun way to spend 5 minutes of your time, so check it out if you haven't already. And there you have it, those were my top 7 short films from Pixar. Did you agree, disagree with my choices? Which ones would you have picked? Let me know in the comments section below. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please hit like and hit subscribe for the full motion pics experience. Till next time.